you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Only this time, it wasn't just me. They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarchy. Will you check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there?
Today we're diving into the latest South Park episode that's got everyone buzzing, and trust me, it's one you don't want to miss. This episode, titled Into the Panderverse, is a masterclass in satire, taking direct aim at none other than Disney. And let's just say, they're not holding back in this roast fest. So, grab your popcorn because we're about to unpack all the tea. Imagine this. You're strolling down the hallway of your old school. Everything seems normal until suddenly, you notice something seriously off. Every familiar face, every person you've ever cared about has been systematically replaced. It's like stepping into a Twilight Zone episode where nothing is as it seems. And the replacements? They're all new diverse characters who seem like they're there just to check a box. Sounds like a nightmare, right? Well, that's exactly the vibe South Park is channeling in their latest jab at Disney for their new upcoming live-action movie, Snow White. We'll break it all down for you. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, if you've been keeping up with Disney's recent releases, you've probably noticed a trend. They're on a mission to diversify their characters, swapping out races and genders like it's a game of identity bingo. On the surface, it sounds like a great idea, right? I mean, who doesn't want to see more representation on screen? But here's where South Park steps in and says, hold up, Disney, what's really going on here? The episode is basically South Park's way of saying, hey, Disney, we see you, and we're not sure if we're buying what you're selling. It's like they're calling out Disney for trying too hard to stay woke, to the point where they're losing the essence of what made their classics, well, classic. Let's talk specifics. Snow White. The original is an iconic tale that's been beloved for generations, but Disney decided it was time for a revamp, and boy, did they shake things up. They cast Rachel Zegler as the new Snow White, and let's just say the reception has been mixed, to put it mildly. Zegler has been in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons, with some even calling her a walking PR disaster for Disney.
I was like telling my husband, I'm not sure how long I can take it, dragging my family to Los Angeles. I didn't know if I wanted to continue acting afterwards.
What's
the big deal?
So, what's the deal with the new Snow White? Well, for starters, they've thrown out the whole love story. Yep, you heard that right. The romance between Snow White and the prince, gone. Instead, Disney's new Snow White is all about girl power. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with empowering women, but let's be real here. Can you even call it Snow White without the dreamy romance? It's like taking the sugar out of candy. It just doesn't taste the same. And fans? They're not exactly thrilled. For many, the magic of Snow White was in its love story, the fairy tale romance that made our hearts flutter. But now, with this new feminist twist, fans feel like a piece of their childhood has been erased. Critics are chiming in too, saying that by stripping away the romance, Disney is also stripping away the charm that made Snow White such a beloved story in the first place.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign.
But this isn't just about Snow White. Disney's been on a roll with this whole woke agenda, and it's sparked a lot of debate. Every new movie seems like it's more focused on ticking diversity boxes than on telling a good story. Sure, representation is important, but at what cost? Fans are starting to wonder if Disney's so focused on staying relevant that they're losing sight of what made these stories timeless. Take the casting of Rachel Zegler, for example. Disney didn't just change the face of Snow White, they changed the whole story. And Zegler? Well, let's just say, her comments haven't exactly helped Disney's case. She's been pretty vocal about how this new Snow White isn't dreaming of true love, she's dreaming of power. And while that's a cool, modern twist, it's left a lot of fans feeling like the heart of the story has been ripped out. It's like Disney's big strategy is all about swapping out the race and gender of beloved characters to reflect today's diverse world. But here's the tea, not everyone's on board. Some people feel like it's more of a marketing stunt than a genuine attempt to tell diverse stories. It's like Disney's trying to avoid backlash by making these changes, but instead they're just stirring the pot even more. And that's where South Park comes in. They're not just making jokes for laughs, they're making a statement. This episode isn't just about Disney, it's about the entire entertainment industry's approach to diversity. South Park is saying, hey, just slapping a diversity label on something doesn't automatically make it better. If it's not done with meaning, it just falls flat.
I had the dream. I was walking down the school hallway. And that's when I started to notice that something's wrong. Everyone I cared about has been systematically replaced.
The original Snow White came out in 1936, and yeah, it was definitely a product of its time. The focus was on her love story, with a guy who, let's face it, was kind of a stalker. Weird, right? So Disney decided to give it a modern twist. But here's the thing, does taking away the love story really make it better? For a lot of fans, the answer is no. It just doesn't feel like Snow White anymore. And let's not forget how Disney is reacting to all this. Reports are flying that they're not exactly thrilled with South Park's satire. In fact, they're downright furious. They see these jokes as a direct attack on their business model, which is all about pushing diversity right now. But here's the kicker. Disney's worried that this kind of satire could actually make people start questioning their motives. Are they really committed to diversity, or is it all just for show? This South Park episode is more than just a few laughs and some angry execs. It's a wake-up call for Hollywood. It's like they're holding up a mirror to the industry, showing how changes made to appeal to modern audiences might look good on the surface, but don't add any real depth to the story. It's a challenge to Hollywood to do better, to make diversity a meaningful part of the narrative, not just something you sprinkle on top for show. So, what do you all think? Is Disney's strategy working, or are they just pandering? And what about South Park? Are they just having a laugh, or is there a serious message here that Hollywood needs to listen to? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.